This is Kyron Horman, a bright 7-year-old boy with blue eyes, brown hair, a radiant smile, and a passion for science. Kyron lived with his father, Kyron Horman, and his stepmother, Terri Horman, in a quiet suburban area of Portland, Oregon. The date was June 4th, 2010. It was a warm, perfect Friday for the big event at Skyline Elementary School, the science fair. Kyron arrived with his stepmother, Terri Horman. Terri, camera in hand, snapped one final photograph of Kyron in front of his project. That photo froze a moment of innocence, a seemingly perfect family moment that would forever mark the last time he was seen. Terri later stated that Kyron walked down the hall to his second-grade classroom, and then she left the school. But Kyron never made it to class. No teacher, no student could confirm seeing Kyron after Terri left the science fair area. The school initially marked him absent. At 3:45 p.m., the school bus arrived home without Kyron. Kyron Horman, his father, received the call. The initial confusion quickly escalated into intense panic. The cold truth soon became clear. Kyron Horman had vanished from a secure location, a school campus, in broad daylight, immediately after being with his stepmother. The investigation now shifted, realizing the key was not finding Kyron in the wilderness, but understanding the actions of the person who brought him there. The search that followed was unprecedented in Oregon history. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and hundreds of trained volunteers were mobilized. Over 300 trained searchers traversed more than 8,000 square miles, an area larger than the state of Massachusetts. The complexity of the terrain, marked by steep ravines and thick undergrowth, turned the search for a small boy into a gargantuan, nearly impossible task. Helicopters flew low, K-9 units worked tirelessly, and dive teams explored local waterways. Yet, the agonizing result was zero. No discarded backpack, no article of clothing, no physical trace of Kyron was ever found outside the perimeter of his home. This immediate and comprehensive lack of physical evidence was the first silent clue that the answer did not lie in the wilderness, but in the calculated actions of the person who brought him to school that day. Detectives quickly found holes in Terri's account. She initially claimed she went to the gym, which was closed. She then changed her story, saying she was looking for a vaporizer for the science project. The evidence of betrayal. Analysis of phone and GPS data painted a completely different itinerary. Data showed Terri took a suspicious trip through the rugged, wooded area of West Portland. She stopped in a secluded area for about 10-20 minutes but could provide no legitimate reason for this stop. A neighbor had even seen her truck speeding away from the house at a suspicious hour. When Terri agreed to take a polygraph test, she failed when asked if she had harmed Kyron. This cemented the investigative focus. Furthermore, detectives made a shocking discovery. Days before Kyron vanished, Terri had attempted to hire a friend to murder her husband, Kyron Horman. This painted a clear picture of a woman capable of violence, experiencing a severe psychological crisis, and looking to eliminate perceived obstacles in her life. Terri Horman rapidly transformed into the central suspect. The Kyron Horman case did more than just break a family. It shattered the sense of security across Portland. The community immediately began to search for external suspects. A white pickup truck seen near the school, And brief suspicion even turned towards Dee Spitzer, Terri Horman's close friend, who was uncooperative with police. The community itself became deeply divided. Police placed Terri Horman under constant, visible surveillance, a tactical move designed to break her mentally, hoping she would eventually confess. The immense pressure caused Kyron Horman to fully align with the police. Upon learning Terri had attempted to kill him, he immediately filed for divorce and obtained an emergency restraining order against her. Desiree Young, Kyron's biological mother, became the public voice of the fight, filing a civil lawsuit against Terri alleging wrongful death and kidnapping. The circumstantial evidence against Terri Horman created an undeniable case for the investigators, yet a fatal flaw for the prosecutors. Beyond the failed polygraph and the erratic travel patterns, detectives discovered a network of lies surrounding her access to a specific handgun and her unusual reliance on powerful pain medication at the time. This established motive, combined with her physical presence at the scene during the time window of the vanishing, formed the cornerstone of the investigation. The legal stalemate became the ultimate tragedy. The Oregon Penal Code demands that without a body, the prosecution must present evidence proving conclusively that the victim is dead. The circumstantial web, while strong enough to obtain warrants and convince the public, was deemed insufficient to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense could easily argue that Terri's erratic drive was merely a byproduct of her emotional distress. Terri Horman's choice to invoke her constitutional right to remain silent proved to be her most effective defense weapon, legally shielding her from the crushing weight of the circumstantial case. The investigation stalled, not because the police stopped looking, but because the legal system could not move forward without the physical evidence Terri had successfully concealed. Over a decade has passed. The disappearance of Kyron Horman has left one agonizing question. How could a 7-year-old child vanish from a school in broad daylight without leaving any physical trace? Kyron was not the victim of a random predator. He was the victim of broken relationships and spiteful jealousy within his family. The case became a monument to the limitations of circumstantial evidence against a suspect exercising their right to remain silent. Terri Horman still maintains her silence and denies all accusations. She has chosen to live under the enormous shadow of suspicion rather than confront the truth. The truth remains buried beneath the silence of one woman. Will Kyron ever be found? And can justice finally find its voice when the truth is bought with absolute silence?